not a single thought is truly original. All are borrowed from external resources. Awareness really dissolves the deception. To hear, all we need is ears, but to listen, we need to pay awareness. When no thought moves within you, what remains is the stillness. Again, my name is Ratna, and I'm from New Jersey, USA. Today, I'm going to share the book called Learning to Silence the Mind and Wellness Through Meditation. It is by Osho, and Osho is one of the 20th century's greatest spiritual teacher. His books are and art in the even the articles, they're very thought provocative. He questions his readers, about the rigid belief systems and thought patterns. He always asks his readers to introspect their thought patterns. But at the same time, he provides a great clarity about the spirituality and a deeper understanding of human lifestyles. He always recommends his readers, to practice the methods in more joyful manner, like a, playful game. This book comprises of 14 chapters, including a meditation technique called Nada Brahma. And the book draws a clear distinction between using the mind and by being used by it. And today, I'm going to share some of the key excerpts from the book. So, let us first understand what is mind. Once we understand the mind, along with it, we can learn to silence the mind. The first point about the mind is it is a chatterbox, and we're all aware of the mind's chatter. And even if we maintain the external silence, internal chat flows just as an undercurrent. So even Pradeep sir mentioned, one of the self-transformative videos. In here, there are 3 types of chats: external chat, internal chat, and a subtle chat that always goes behind our mind. So mind work is thinking. It creates a lot of thoughts, countless thoughts in a day. So unless we get disturbed externally, the thought process flows like a river. And most of the thoughts are repetitive and more mechanical. And all these thoughts are like a mist around you, which creates a lot of confusion. And among that, you simply lose the clarity. Osho says not a single thought is truly original. All are borrowed from external resources. So from parents, friends, from school, media, there are so many resources to collect all these thoughts from. Even when a child is born, he has no mind when the child is born in general. So, but as he turns into 3 or 4 year old, so he slowly starts collecting the information. The chattering starts in its mechanism, even when the child turns into, more or 4 or 5 years old. So how to silence this chat? How to stop this thinking? Osho says, don't do anything. Simply observe them. Thoughts settle on their own accord when we simply observe them. To further understand this, Osho gave some story in this book. So one day, Buddha and one of his chief disciples, Ananda, they both are walking in a forest. On their way, they passed a small stream, and they further walked another 4 miles. So then Buddha says to Ananda, I feel thirsty, can you get some water from the stream? And Ananda goes back. But by the time he reaches the stream, a few bullock carts have just passed through the stream, and they made the whole stream muddy. So the water is too dirty to drink. So Ananda comes back with empty hands. he tells Buddha that he can't fetch the water because the water is too dirty. But Buddha insists to go back to the same place and get it. So Ananda goes back and sit by the bank of the stream. And eventually, after some time, all the mud settles down, and whatever the leaves, they float in the stream. So once the water becomes clear, of course, he brings the water to the Buddha. So what Osho was saying, even our mind is the same. Just like, we have created so many thoughts, collecting all the information in our mind really creates a mud stream. So by simply observing our thoughts, the mud settles after a certain period of time, and thoughts will subside eventually. And we shouldn't really interfere with them, because if you interfere, then again it's like you're jumping in the stream of mind. So we shouldn't really give any energy to that. Slowly, this observation brings silence, which is the quality of your inner soul or your inner being. So when we are in that non-thinking state, meditation happens at that moment. Osho gave another example. See, if we look at a thought, it is nothing but a group of words. When we read a book, a book is made up of, so many sentences, and each sentence made up of words. When we read a sentence, naturally our attention goes to the words, but we never observe the gap in between. So what he says, change our focus to the gap in between. Then we will experience the glimpse of silence. And he suggests his readers even to practice that as a fun game. So just like the gap in between the words, the gap in between two thoughts is the silence. So with more practice, the gap between any two thoughts increases, and which leads to the state of meditation. Another point about mind is it is very clever. It tries to rationalize your motivations. I give one example to understand. Say at your work, you got an issue with your boss, conflict of opinions. So naturally you get upset, but you really can't show that on your boss. So when you come home, you notice your child is misbehaving, some small minor mistake, but you shout at him or punish him. So your mind befools you that you are teaching him a lesson. But in reality, you're using your child as a scapegoat to dump your anger, whatever you're carrying from your work. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a person, it can be even an object. Many times we slam the doors, bang the utensils, whatnot. I'm sure it rings the bell to many of you. So Osho says awareness is the key to be capable of seeing the real motivations behind any mind's actions. And then only we can come out of its manipulative techniques. Because awareness really dissolves the deception. One another point about the mind is it is a biocomputer. It has a functional utility. It is very efficient, useful, but unconscious. Unless some sort of danger or excitement situation happens, it doesn't really become conscious, like a robot. So I give another example to understand this. Say, when you learn driving, initially you pay a lot of attention, very alert, because you have to pay attention to the steering, to the brakes, to the gears, watch the traffic, whatnot. So you're fully present in your driving. But once you become an expert and once you become efficient in your driving, slowly the robot, the mechanical portion of the mind does the driving. And at that time, we do the, We listen to music while driving. We talk to someone over the phone, even daydreaming, until suddenly someone cuts across your path. So, with that sudden jolt, you come into conscious and your robotic mind disappears. So, friends, if any damage happens at the time, even if you tell to the cop, hey, I didn't do this, my robotic mind did, he's not going to buy any excuse. So, we have to be alert, right? So, at the cost of efficiency, what we are really losing our awareness. So, you need to be more alive, more alert, and come out of your unconscious habits. Osho says meditation is not an efficiency, rather, it is an aliveness. Another important point that we're all aware of it is mind is a vagabond. The very structure of the mind is movement. We can find many examples for this. When you attend a lecture, like now, like you are attending my lecture, right? So you may be sitting there, but your mind stays somewhere else. It goes here and there, thinking about the chores to be done, and, project deadlines, or errands to be finished, whatnot, anything else, and it goes anywhere in the world. Because for mind, it's a free of cost. So, other than listening to the lecture, you simply wander around. To hear, all we need is ears, but to listen, we need to pay awareness. So, to become a meditator, we have to drop all these sleepy habits and bring alertness into everything we do. When we walk, walk consciously. And when we eat, eat consciously. When we talk, talk consciously. So at that time, awareness transforms every act into meditation. Movement is the mind's inherent nature, so the two places mind always goes is to the past or to the future. It never stays in the present because being in the present moment is like a death to the mind. But that is the perfect place to realize our consciousness, which is our very natural state. One other point about mind is it can only understand the duality in terms of any concept. So, only with the comparison and contrast, it is capable of seeing things. To understand life, it requires death. To understand love, it needs hate. To understand darkness, light has to exist. So, mind moves between these two opposite polarities, and let us make choose one of the choice, one of the polarity as a choice. But once we choose one polarity, we are being trapped in the mind skin. Because between the two opposite ends like this, the center is where your natural state is. Instead of, if we are being centered and we can able to witness the both polarities and resolve any conflicts associated with that opposite ends. One other important point about mind is its social phenomena. Mind cannot exist without society. To express your emotions, to express your desires, share stories, ideas, to express your emotions, whatnot. It needs someone to talk to. It needs someone to compare with, either to feel superior or inferiors. Otherwise, it gets very anxious. So, I give an example. If I buy a car, a new one, I expect someone make a comments on it, about its color or about its XYZ features, anything. And if nobody makes the comment, I will try to talk to my family or friends and tell them, hey, I purchased this new car, and I explain the great features associated with it. Most of the time we do, because the mind's existence depends on others' opinions. It is very self-conscious, but the issue is the emphasis is on the self. If someone praises us, we feel very elated, happy about it. But if someone insults or make any comment, and then rest of the day, the whole mood collapses. So our happiness or our misery really depends on others' opinions. On the contrary, meditation provides freedom from this dependency. When you are in a witness state, others' opinions does not impact you. Whether appreciation or condemnation, you remain the same. You remain centered without any wavering. So, friends, the state of mind makes you a dependent person, whereas a state of meditation makes you independent. So far, so good. We have learned a lot about mind, and now let us learn what is meditation. The word meditation is a translation of Sanskrit word dhyana. Osho says it is not an exact translation, but a closest word that can come across. Because when we say, I'm meditating, it sounds as if there is an object we're meditating upon. So let us understand what is dhyana first. So dhyana is a pure awareness, like a state of being where there is no thought, no object, no dream, no desire, simply just emptiness. So in that emptiness, you come to know yourself, the perfect silence. So when we try to translate dhyana into meditation, so what Osho says, it's not I'm doing meditation. It is rather we have to say I am meditation. Because it's not something you do. It is something you are. Meditation is your state of being. In other words, which non-doing, because no activity of mind involved. So when all the when all the activity of mind ceases, when no thought moves within you, what remains is the stillness. And that stillness is the meditation. Meditation has nothing to do what you do in your external life, because doing is a superficial thing. And if you put all your doing aside and enter into a state of transcendental being, that is what meditation is, friends. So it is your natural state. And when you are in such natural state of meditation, you overflow with bliss. People many times get confused between bliss and happiness. They often think bliss is a happiness. But happiness is more psychological. It's more associated with the ego. If our desires get fulfilled or if anyone praises us, so we all feel happy. But for meditation to happen, we have to drop your ego, your personality, your body-mind complex, and simply become a watcher. And when you witness your consciousness, then you get to taste the meditation. And when that happens, bliss flows into you from all directions. So all your emptiness gets filled. So this is the method and means of meditation, friends. Osho, he always gives so much importance to celebration. He says one has to be very playful about meditation. One has to learn how to enjoy the process. Because if you are playful about it, then mind cannot disturb your meditation. Otherwise, it finds so many excuses to avoid. And we are all familiar with mind's excuses in a day-to-day life. To explain further on this topic, Osho says people who work with their hands have less anxiety or less tension. Because he says hands are connected with the deepest part of the mind, the deepest center of the brain. So your right hand is associated with the left brain, and your left hand is associated with the right brain. And when you work with the hands, the energy is flowing from the head into the hands and it's being released. But people who work with their heads, they tend to accumulate a lot of energy, and there is no outlet and no opening for it to go out through the body. So it goes and on in the mind, and mind can eventually get crazy. So he insists celebration should be part of your meditation, because celebration is really opposite of worry. What he says, whatever the act, singing, dancing, however small, you can sing a song. Whatever be the dance, the little bit of dance we can do. Planting, cooking, any act we should be performed joyfully. He says one does not need to be professional as long as you are creative on your own way. Because energy has to be creative. If you don't use it for happiness, the same energy will be used for creating misery. So, friends, whenever there is a beautiful moment, enjoy the moment in its totality. Because if you are happy in this moment, it attracts many such happy moments. We are all very well aware of the law of attraction. He says one does, I'm sorry, give me some time. So Osho says one should act like a child, be innocent, be energetic, and be joyful every moment. So when you learn to enjoy the activities in your daily life, then you will enjoy the act of sitting silently as well. So at that time, your mind can easily get relaxed. And when you are utterly relaxed, then you start feeling your reality. You come face to face with your being. Then you can experience the state of stillness. Can we meditate without any techniques? The answer is yes. Meditation itself needs no techniques, but mind creates all sorts of obstacles. So the techniques are really needed to remove the mind to quell its noise. At that time, the meditation happens on its own accord. So by using the techniques, what we do is we can cut the roots of the past or future and bring back our attention to the present moment. At that time, the awareness happens effortlessly because meditation is our very intrinsic nature. It is like always hidden behind the mind. Like if we have to say, it is like a room closed with the door. And if you open the door, then you can experience the meditation. We understand meditation. We understand what is mind. We touched so many points about mind. We said mind is a chatterbox. Mind is cunning. Mind is robot. We simply portrayed the mind as a bad boy. Then what is the use of it? Why God gave us the mind? So we need mind to interact with our environment. So we use our senses to communicate with the environment or the world we are living in. But when we withdraw the same senses, we can get into the meditative state. So another aspect of mind is whenever you learn something new, say for example, a new language, arts, any new skill, mind puts all its efforts to learn anything new. Mind acts very attentive to be creative. And when you being attentive and when you're being creative, that creativity brings you close to the source. And we all know God is a great creator, right? And Osho also says, creative people like poets, painters, musicians, dancers, they can enter into the meditative state very easily. In that silence of meditation, mind also gets a chance to rest. The deeper the silence, the greater the relaxation of the mind. And once you come out of the meditative state, the calmness and the serenity reflects on the mind's actions. So the mind can work more productively in terms of your thoughts, speech, and actions. So when awareness rises, mind functions well. And where mind ends, meditation blossoms. So the takeaway is very simple. Be aware. And when you are in awareness state, you can use your mind effectively, and you can also experience your state of being effortlessly. Thank you, my friends.
I don't know whether my questions will be relevant, but I just wanted to know, based on your, uh, you know, study or whatever, the books that you've gone, what is the recommended way the meditation, is, what kind of meditation Osho recommends? That's what I want to know. The type of
Osho,
meditation.
yes, I totally understand. Osho actually gave 112 methods. If you go to Book of Secrets, and you can see all these 112 methods. He has given both active methods and passive methods. Passive methods is like our anapanasati, what we do regularly. And active methods are that involves a lot of body movements, shaking, jumping, um, shouting, even, I guess. I didn't really go through each type of technique, but that
Yes.
involves a lot of, because what Osho says, um, in current generation, we are receiving a lot of information every day. So much information we have. So when compared to olden days, the people who used to live 100 years ago, they have a very simple life. And so they're more, realistic life they used to spend. But compared to that, we have so much chaos in our minds. With all the information we receive, internet, we all know. So, and on top of it, whatever the information we receive, we constantly ruminate about it. So it creates a lot of commotion and a lot of anxiety. And especially like during Corona, then after Corona in USA, a lot of cases has increased with stress and anxiety. And to remove that stress, or to remove that that type of anxiety situation from our mind and body, Osho says we need cathartic techniques to remove that. And he, as I said, he developed many such active meditations. And even if you go to osho.com, you can find information related to different types of passive techniques as well as active techniques.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ratnaji, for the nice presentation.
Yeah.
In this
So
book, anything here is because we understood about the mind, what are the mind and how, like the consciousness, how you can dissolve, ego and all. So, what technique? Okay, meditation. Apart from that, is there any technique to silence the mind?
awareness. That's what he keep on talking about, throughout his subject matter. Because most of his books are really the compilation of the discourses he has given at various times. So in all his discourses, he gave so much importance to awareness, and we have to practice that in a day-to-day life. And he even suggests, implement that, with the small activities, daily activities like walking and cutting, cooking, and cleaning or washing clothes. Because when we implement this awareness or like being attentive, doing these small activities, it becomes slowly we get used to that. Unlike, say, suppose if I want to put this my awareness to resolve the emotions, say, if I want to be, a lot of people say, when we are angry, all we have to do is be aware. Yeah, I tried myself and I didn't even know how to do that. Because when anger comes, it's such a outburst of energy. We can easily get, succumb to that. So the best way is, if we start implement with the smaller day-to-day activities, even for a shorter amount of time, we don't need to do all day, every day. So assign maybe this 1 hour. I will, put my attention to the task, whatever I'm doing. Or even like choose a day. So Monday, I put attention to cooking part. Tuesday, I put attention to cleaning part. So we can subdivide our activities and start slow. And when that becomes a second nature, we can implement that to difficult activities like taking care of emotions. So
Thank you.
hope I clear your answer.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Hi,
Nancy.
Ratna. Thank you for the summarization of today's book.
Thank
Can
you.
you throw a little more light on this hands-on activity, that part of the book that you were describing on the left brain, right brain? So if I'm going to be using my hands to do things, I'm going to be much more calmer, that part of it. So if you can just expand a little more in that area, it was interesting to hear that. Today, everything is so digitized. Usage of hands is hardly anything. Even this discussion, even if you hadn't had a PPT, Zoom can do an AI and give a transcript of even what I'm talking, you're talking, and summarize
Of
everything
course.
together at one shot.
Oh, yeah,
So there is no
beautifully
need to
presents
even
there what we do. Yes.
physically take a pen and pencil to even write is literally drastically into zeroized. And thanks to COVID, that kids are also into digital mode of learning. So can you obviously, which means from what you said, what I understand is anxiety levels are on the rise. Can you throw a little more light on that part of the book?
Yeah. So it's really like our brain, we have two hemispheres. The right brain is connected with the left parts of the body, and left side of the brain is connected with the right portions of the body. And if you really like think like the autistic children, who comes under the spectrum, they're more right brain activated. That's why you can see a lot of hyperactivity in the kids. And so even when they go through whatever the techniques to calm down, those are really the how the body mind associated. Because some portions like logical thinking and all that is associated with our, I think that's left side, and this creative thinking is on the right side of the brain. And in terms of hand part is really nowadays, most of our jobs are like sitting in front of the computer and doing nothing, not much of an exercise. you know so all the energy, even if we do meditation, the energy that we are receiving, how are we expanding? Just we are sitting here and again, like doing meditation, reading on the computer, no work, no exercise, and no laborious work for us. And in that aspect, I guess like I appreciate Pradeep sir, like made 30 minutes minimum of walk as one of our exercise, because when we do any sort of exercise, it not only gives, our body becomes healthy, but our mind also gets relieves all the tension that is created in our mind. About the hand part, he briefly explained in that, and if you really want to know more about it, as I said, he has 112 methods that he described in the book called Book of Secrets. And in that, he said, our body has so many different centers, and we can concentrate on any center and get into the meditative state very easily. I only read a couple of things. One is the breath techniques, and another one I was reading because the eyeball is one of the central. And really, like, we all know that through eyes, we use a lot of energy. So what he says, if we touch our, eyes, normally, like at the end of our session, we do like this. So he explained very clearly, we have to touch our eyeballs like a feather touch, not, not too much press on that. When we do a, feather touch like that, then whatever the energy goes into the mind, between the eyes, it goes here, and from there it come down to the heart center, and from there it can go down even to the navel center, because when we born, we are connected with our mom through the navel part. That is our original center. So similarly, like he gave so many other techniques and he explained very clearly the process behind it, to understand the science behind it, and how by observing them how we can get into the meditative state. But the only issue is some of them are easy, and some of them you really need to pay attention to it. Even for our breath technique, when I read about it, there are 3 different types in that. So when we inhale and when we exhale, there is a gap in between the 2 inhale and exhale, internally our body, and even before outside externally. So externally, after we exhale and before we take another inhale, there is a small gap. So if we put attention into that, the gap, we can get into the meditative state. Similarly, he said another technique to be aware is when the inhale turns into an exhale within our body system, wherever the U-turn, if we can put attention, and that can also take into the meditative state. And one more breath technique he mentioned is when the inhale and exhale gets into fusion, and wherever that fusion point is within our, internally in our body system, and if we can able to put our attention, and that also takes you to the meditation state. But the thing is, all these things requires a lot of, practice. If we are aware of it, then we can easily understand where these points are located, and, we can get into that. But I think, Patriji really made our life simple by simply giving Anapanasati meditation. Because when I read those 3 techniques, so in our Anapanasati meditation, somewhere I guess we are getting into one of those states. It could be either the gap in between, it could be the fusion between, or even it could be the U-turn that, inhale to exhale. So, wherever it is, we are getting into the no thought state. And one thing I want to warn you, because sometimes if we read more also, and we have to understand, as I said in the presentation, our mind rationalize. So when we learn to read the deepest corners of all these techniques, and next time when we start, practicing meditation, our mind goes to that, oh, okay, let me think, where is my infusion point? Or where is this, U-turn is taking place? And it's very easy to get, trapped into the mind's, techniques. So you can read, but simply after that, drop all that nonsense and practice with whatever the meditation technique you feel comfortable with. That is my recommendation. Pradeep sir always, tells in his sessions, if we close our eyes, it's meditation. If we open our eyes, it's a mindfulness. And somehow from the beginning, that statement attracted me so much. And when I read the Power of Now book, as part of our assignment, it really helped me to understand the importance of the now state. And when I going through the list of these books, and this title immediately caught in, my attention. Because, once we understand the intrinsic nature of our mind, it is very easy to work on our mindful activities. Only after, reading this book, I could understand why Pradeep sir gave all these, exercises to us: meditation, mindfulness, practice of silence, walking in nature. So, I mean, before as a student, I was thinking, oh, okay, those are assignments. I have to do it and get it done. But really, like after reading the book, I could able to, understand and connect the dots. So I really have to, my deep gratitude to Pradeep sir for all his wisdom sharing and for all the techniques he taught us in the part of the TOT course. Thank you.